lovely writers, and welcome to this week's Writerly Wednesday. I'm actually really excited because today we're going to do a reboot of my most watched video here on YouTube. You may have seen it, you may not have. It's quite old, but it is going to give you, like in the title, the top 5 mistakes that writers are making when they are submitting their manuscript to agents and editors. Let's dive into it, shall we? So the first top mistake still is that they're not spending enough time on their query letter and or synopsis. Why is this important? Well, because this is the very first impression that most agents and editors are going to have of you and your work. So we do want to spend a bit of time on it. You don't need to spend an inordinate amount of time, like laboring over every single word choice, but we do want it to be that first impression that you're longing for. So you want to show some of your personality. You want to make sure that you have all of the parts that are expected in your query letter and that you've worked your synopsis sufficiently that you feel that it truly reflects the manuscript itself. Truth is, this is a first impression and it's your first opportunity to get a yes. A yes being, I'd like to see more from you, please. So we want to put our best foot forward, and too many writers tend to rush through this because they find it uncomfortable or a little bit awkward. Don't make that mistake. Spend a bit of time getting this as right as you can get it and knowing that you're going to tweak it over time, and that's totally okay. The second top mistake that writers are making before they submit is that they're not researching who they're approaching quite enough. What do I mean by this? Well, you're not going to send your manuscript, if you've written sci-fi, to someone who primarily loves memoir, right? That seems fairly straightforward, but there are intricacies and even position changes. So sometimes an editor or an agent will be growing their list in one particular genre, but maybe they've switched position within their company and now they're acquiring a different type of manuscript. It is worth doing a bit of Google sleuthing to find out not only what are they representing now, but if you can find one-on-one interviews, find out what they love and see if your work matches it. That's going to get you the best result. Honestly, you don't want to try to partner with somebody who isn't the perfect partner for your manuscript anyway. So spending a bit of extra time really researching each of the agents or editors you're going to approach is worth that time you spend. You can use websites like Query Tracker and Writer's Digest, and there's some others. I'll link them below, so fear not. But it is worth doing that Google search and finding out what you can about that particular agent or editor. Next, big mistake, number 3, is sending under-edited manuscripts. Now, previously I might have said something like unedited. I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to just say that they may be under-edited, and this is actually related to mistake number 4. We'll get to it in a minute. But what do I mean by under-edited? I simply mean that there are copy sort of issues, typographic errors, grammar, word choice, really spending too much of the manuscript using one particular word. That's something that every writer goes through, by the way. So if you feel like, I use that word over and over and over, you are not alone. There are whole articles and books dedicated to this thing that we do as writers, and that's totally fine. However, what we want to do before you send off that manuscript is really spend the time trying to finesse it a little bit more. We're not looking for perfection, but we are looking for the best possible manuscript you can have, and taking out those things like typos and grammatical errors that are easy to fix on your part and jarring to the eye on the part of the agent and editor will get them to hopefully give you another yes along your pathway to yes, here's a contract, right? Mistake number 4 is not actually using a qualified reader. What do I mean by that? A qualified reader may be, but probably is not, someone within your family, your network of friends, someone who's really close to you and loves you. You may be lucky enough to have lots of readerly types in your network or even somebody in publishing. But I would say that along with any feedback you might get from those wonderful people, it would be good to go out and either have a manuscript assessment and or some sort of structural edit or even a copy edit to your work by somebody who knows what they're doing because they've been doing it for a while, and they're not going to give you feedback based on the fact that they loved you. Even if they do love you, maybe they give you harsh feedback but it's not actually right for your manuscript. Either way, you want to find a reader who's qualified to read within the genre that you've written, as well as some of that practical, real-world experience within publishing and or editing. There are many places you can get those. I'll try to include some links below in case you don't know where to go. Readsy is a great website for getting an edit. But here's one last thing I want you to do when you do go out and get an edit. If it's not from somebody that you're paying, which in that case, they are very clear in their boundaries and the things that they're going to give you feedback on. But if you're going to give it to a well-read friend, family member, or somebody in your wider network, I really want you to have great boundaries and write down specific feedback you want so that they can leave out the feedback you don't, right? So maybe you don't want feedback on the names you've given to all your characters, but somebody else comes up with that. Or maybe the feedback that you're looking for is that you want to know about any typos or grammatical errors or anything like that. Be very specific about the feedback that you want and say, leave anything else out, please. I'm just looking for this, or I'm looking to make sure that this scene makes sense. Whatever it is you're looking for, be very explicit so you can get the best feedback possible from your qualified reader. Now, the fifth and final mistake that most writers are still sadly making when they're submitting to agents and editors is that they're not actually following the submission guidelines. If not every, almost every single agent or editor has a website and a way that they want you to submit your work. So that means their website will tell you, print it out with this font and this spacing and all of this stuff and send it to us snail mail. Very rare, very, very, very rare that could happen. Some of them say, we want you to fill out this online form and include the first 3 chapters. In this form, it could be something called like submittable. You use that form. You don't find their email address and send it to them otherwise. Here's the truth. They could potentially receive it, but already you've shown that you're not delivering what they're asking for. That's at a very basic level. On another level, some of them won't even receive it, right? So you've gone to the trouble of tracking down this name or tracking down the best email and all of this stuff. You've done your research, you've edited, you've got the qualified readers, it's perfect, but you submit it outside of their requirements and they may never see it. And how disappointing. You may feel ghosted. You may never get a response. And or on their website, they may say, if you send it via email, even though we want it via this online form, we're gonna send it straight to the delete file. What a shame. Please don't do it. I know that in lots of ways, many of you that are watching feel like, well, these are just very basic things. And yet, in our excitement to finish our manuscript and get it in the best hands and get it to that publisher or agent that we want it with, we sometimes forget those things. So it is worth having a checklist for yourself just to make sure that you're doing everything you can to put yourself in the best position possible. You took the time, the energy, the heart, the soul to write this story, and I believe that you deserve to share it as widely as possible. Make sure that you're doing all of the right steps once that manuscript is complete to get it to the right agent and the right editor at the publishing house of your dreams to give it its best chance possible. And then shore up. Do things that make you feel good. Get ready for a bit of a journey. It can be really exciting. It can turn out much better than you thought it could. It also can be filled with lots of challenges and hurdles and unexpected adventures along the way. So get ready for it. You know that you can find me here every week. If you found this video helpful, I would love it if you would hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and then click on that bell as well to make sure that you're notified every time I upload another video for Readily Wednesday so that you get all the tips and tricks that I have. I want to give you all the best I've got so that you can go out there and really feel like you are putting that best foot forward and getting your writerly dreams to become reality. Until next time, I'll see you on another Readily Wednesday. Bye, writers.